By request, I've had several wanting me to do a short review on rattling. I've been rattling for over 20 years now, and I've had a lot of success with it. I've rattled in several bucks and been able to take them. One of my biggest bucks actually I rattled in several years ago. I tell you, I have had such great success over the years rattling these deer in and calling them. And so we're just going to give you a quick review of the way I think that a person should rattle. Now, is this the Bible on it? No, it's just my opinion. But it's sure worked for me over the last 20 years, and I think it's a great method. I think a lot of people, in my opinion, rattle wrong. I think they rattle the wrong time of year. They rattle the wrong way. Because anything you're doing, just like with turkeys, you know, with turkeys, you have to sound natural. Well, it's the same thing with calling any animal. You want to sound as natural as you can. Can you make mistakes? Sure, you can make mistakes. You know, you can make mistakes and still have success, but you don't want to make a lot of mistakes. And so we're just going to review right quick the way that I rattle and what has given me such success over the past several years. And I'm going to show you kind of the way that I do it. Now, with that said, I think it's important that you know the right time of year. I don't even pick these horns up until about right now. You know, the last of October, maybe really about the 1st of November. The first 10, 12 days of November is the best time, in my opinion, in most parts of the country to rattle, unless you live down in the deep south or where the rut don't happen till last of December and January or whatever. But up in the eastern part, the Midwest, the north, you know, pretty much just about all these states where most of your deer hunting up in the Midwest and the eastern and the north takes place, it's around November. The 1st is usually when I'll start packing these horns, because I don't pack these horns around all the time. It's just extra weight. I don't do it. So I only take them into the woods around the last of October, 1st of November, and start rattling. So you want to get that pre-rut stage to where the bucks are just starting to look for does. Now I've started seeing bucks this past week working scrapes and starting to get on their feet a little bit. So right now would be a great time to try to rattle and put these techniques into place. Next week I'm really going to be banging the horns and rattling a lot because I think next week is the best week. The next 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of November, is the best time, in my opinion, to rattle. Now, I think like I said, with anything, you got to sound natural. Now, I think watching different people rattle over the years, I think they just make a lot of noise, and that's why they don't have success. And then when they don't have success, then they say, well, rattling don't work. I've had friends debate me over, well, rattling don't work. Well, rattling don't work. I'm like, okay, well, if you don't think it works, then that's fine. It probably ain't gonna work for you because you don't believe in it. But I know it works. But it's really the way you rattle. It's the right time of year, right now. First, you know, right in the pre-rut, right in the seeking. They're not locked up with does yet. They don't have those. Does haven't popped into estrus yet, so they're starting to look for them first available does. That's when you want to rattle. Now, as far as where to rattle, you know, you just don't want to be tracing off in the woods and start rattling somewhere. You know, you don't get this thing in your head to where you think that you're just going to walk out in the woods, not scout, not know where the deer is moving or anything else. Just start walking out in the woods and start banging horns together, and every deer in the county is going to come running. You know, deer are not going to run very far to look for a fight. So you need to rattle on places where you've already been located the deer, where you've already located scrapes, where you've already located buck activity. You want to be in natural travel corridors anyway. You don't want to be off the travel corridor. You want to be where they're naturally coming through, because that's where most of the fighting is going to take place. This makes sense, right? The buck comes up the scrape line, here comes another buck down the same scrape line. So you don't want to be off here on some ridge somewhere or another rattling 150, 200 yards off of where they're naturally traveling at, and expect every deer to start, oh, well, let's go over and see what's going on. No, you want to be in the natural zone. You want to be in the natural where all the buck activity is taking place anyway. So I look for scrapes, a horning, big signpost rubs, you know, on the big trees that's starting to appear right now. Scrapes, I start looking for that stuff. I start looking for the most deer sign, and that's where you want to set up to rattle. Now, all right, let me try to explain to you my method of rattling. I want you to imagine two 140, 150 class 10-point bucks. two big mature bucks, 200-pound, 220-pound bucks, right? 20-inch spread. I want you to imagine that in your head. I want you to get this scenario in your head. When they come together, the deers don't move their head very fast. Now I see a lot of guys, when they rattle, I see a lot of guys, I think they rattle too fast, they rattle too long, and they rattle too fast. Deer don't fight that long. If you'll watch a real buck fight, very seldom will they go even over 45 seconds to a minute. Occasionally you'll have some that get locked up and can't get free, and they may go for a minute, two or 3 minutes or whatever. And some actually stay locked up and die. But that don't happen a lot. Normally, it's a 35, 40, 50 second, maybe a minute fight. They don't last very long. And so that's what you want to duplicate. You don't want to get out there and rattle for 2 or 3 straight minutes and just be banging your horn and just be doing all that. You don't want to be doing that. You want to be as natural as can be. So I keep it short and I keep it real. So what I do, now somebody's already asked me, said, do you like rattle bags or the horns? I prefer the horns. Whether they're fake or real, I prefer the horns. I don't like a rattle bag myself. If you've had success with it, that's great, but I just prefer horns because I think with my style of rattling, you can do more with horns than you can, say, with a rattle bag. So here's how I do. I want you to imagine these two 10-point bucks getting ready to face off. All right, now when you watch deers fight, they'll eyeball one another, right? You'll see them. They'll start circling one another. They'll start looking, and they'll start circling. They'll start. What they're doing is one of them is waiting to ram the other one because these these tines here are weapons, and what they're wanting to do is they're looking to kill each other. When they're really fighting, they're not looking to play. They're looking to kill each other. So they know that that's a weapon, and that they want to jam the other one right in the side of the head or the ribs and try to get into the vitals because they know how to. They know what they're doing, right? And so when this buck goes to jam the other one in the side, that's where this buck over here. He'll turn his head, and that's where you get that clang. So I think the clang is very important when it comes to rattling. The clang. That's this. The clang. You don't want to be going like this. You want that really good clang. And that's why I like horns, because you can do it harder than you can a rattle bag. So I want to get that clang. Okay? That clang is where the two 10-pointers or two 8-pointers, they come together. This is coming in the side. This is turning. All right, so you want that clang. Now, here's where I think a lot of people make a mistake. Rattle too fast. They do this stuff. They'll be out there and they'll be doing this stuff. And listen, deer don't move their head that fast. It's very, when you watch a real buck fight, the deer they don't move their head very fast. It's a lot of pushing and it's a lot of grinding. They're pushing each other. They're trying to get broke away. They're trying to jam the other one in the side. They're trying to get broke. So you want that. You want to sound that way. So instead of doing all this, instead of doing all that mess, you want to clang, and then you want to. You hear that pause? You want to put a lot of pause in there. Let me see if I can turn around where you see. So you want to put a lot of pause in there. And you want to do a lot of grinding. Now when I say grinding, here's what you're doing. Hear that? It's pushing. Push grind. And now they're broke apart. See, can you imagine it? Here's two bucks that they broke apart. They're eyeballing. They're circling. They're eyeballing one another. This one goes back in for the side. That one clang, so you get that clang again. You hear that pause? You break away. Maybe tickle the tips a little bit. They'll do that sometimes where they're breaking away. So you want to tickle the tips a little bit. You want to like that. You just want to put a lot of pauses. You don't want all this fast rattling and doing all this stuff. You want a lot of, you want that clang, 2 or 3 clangs in there, and you want that pause. Then you want to grind. Hear that? I even do that. Take one side of your horns or something. You want to put, just in your mind, be thinking about these two bucks. They're pushing, they're grinding, they're trying to get broke away, so you get a lot of that clang in there. Hear that? All right. So a lot of guys, I see a lot of guys, and like I said, it's just so fast and so loud, and it's just obnoxious. It's just obnoxious, right? So you want to clang, and you want to start. break away, they're circling, jam it in for the, jam it again. Hear that? That's, to me, a lot of pauses and a lot of short sequences will be more effective than just a loud 2 or 3 minute bunch of noise that don't sound natural. So what are we going to do? We're going to set up on well-known buck alleys, what I call them, well-known places where bucks are traveling through, scrape rubs. You want to set up on natural travel routes where they're going anyway every day. Then you want to rattle. You want to keep it short, 35, 40 seconds. You want to keep it, less than a minute. Put a lot of pauses. Put a couple clangs in there. Put a lot of grinding in there. Grind it. Alright, so that's what sounds natural. And I've had so much luck rattling this way over the years, rather than just the big loud bunch of clanging that goes on for 2 or 3, 4 minutes that just don't sound real. And I think that's why a lot of people don't have a lot of luck rattling. But I've had a lot of great success rattling. It's my favorite way to deer hunt. I just love the first 2 weeks of November when I can get the horns out. And really, I rattle the whole month of November. But the best time is the first 2 weeks of November. It seems like I have more success in that time era as far as rattling. Now, it's true you can rattle all the rest of the season, even in December. They're fighting because the second rut, it's not as great as the first rut, but the second rut comes in around the 1st of December. So the first 2 or 3 weeks of December, the first 2 or 3 weeks of November, that's a great time. How much do you rattle? Rattle as much as you want. I try to rattle maybe once every couple hours or something. If you don't have no success, you don't want to rattle like every 30 minutes or something like that, but keep it every couple hours or maybe once every hour if you want. Bucks are fighting all day, so. But I try to keep them, every couple of hours I might bang some together, because it's going to take a while for some deer to come in. Not every deer is going to come in charging. Not every deer is going to come in looking to kill you. Not every deer is going to come in rip roaring and snorting and with his ears pinned back and ready to fight. A lot of them, you're going to rattle in more that you don't see, because a lot of them is going to come in sneaking. A lot of them is going to come downwind of you. A lot of them is just going to come in curious. So always be looking for those curious deer that may not come charging in, but they come in quiet. They'll come in sneaking, and because he don't want to get whooped, right? He's just curious. So it can be a great way to deer hunt. Rather, they will come in charging. They will come in looking to fight. They will come in, and when that happens, you'll never be the same again. One of my biggest bucks I rattled in. He's on the wall in there. I rattled him in. Come about I don't know. He was probably about 200 yards. I rattled him all the way across the open field. Several years ago, he come in, rattled him into 70, and he come in like a Tennessee Walker, just high stepping, a horse. He just come in high stepping, and his ears laid back, and his neck hair all raised up. Lip curling. He was ready to kick somebody's butt. And when that happens, you'll never be the same, because you made that deer do something. You'd have never killed that deer had you not rattled him in. 3 years ago, I got my big 8-pointer, rattled him in. He come in really aggressive, come in looking to fight too. So no question, I would have not killed any of them deer had I not rattled. And several other deer I've rattled in over the years. So it's not 100% guarantee you're going to kill one. Most of the time you go rattle, nothing's going to happen. But it's them times you do, and something does happen, so it makes it special. So it's worth carrying the extra weight, and it's worth getting out and rattling. So I hope you have success. Hope that helped you. Get out, do some pauses, clangs, keep it short, keep it sweet. Get out and have you some success, and let me know how your season's going. God bless you. Let's get out in the tree and have some fun the next hunt.